Hey guys, and welcome to this video. So today I'm going to be doing kind of a cross between a one brand makeup tutorial and a best of e.l.f. video. You guys know I love e.l.f. cosmetics, but these are, in my opinion, the best of the best products from them. So if you guys like these types of one brand makeup tutorials, give this video a thumbs up so I know to make more of them, and don't forget to subscribe while you're here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to start off using this primer. This is the Tone Adjusting Primer. It's the green one, so it helps kind of cancel out redness. It comes out extremely green and it freaks you out for a second, but it doesn't look that green on the face. In fact, it doesn't do a whole lot for redness in my opinion, but it does a good job of kind of filling in the pores and creating a nice even canvas to go ahead and start with foundation. Okay, next up is foundation. This is by far my favorite e.l.f. foundation. This is the Acne Fighting Foundation, I think it's called. I have mine in the shade Buff. It's a tiny bit too light for my skin, but I can make it work with bronzer. Comes in packaging that looks like this. You just squeeze it out, nice and sanitary. This just has some of the best ingredients in it for fighting acne, like salicylic acid, tea tree oil, and things that are just really good for the fight against acne. I don't think this makes a huge difference in terms of clearing up acne, but it certainly doesn't make it any worse, and that's a huge bonus for me in picking out a foundation. I'm going to be applying it with this foundation brush from their new line, the Beautifully Precise line. This is a really great brush for foundation and really any cream products, but it does give such a nice coverage. A lot of times when you see acne fighting foundations, they're very little coverage, and if you are in the fight against acne, you want it to be good for your skin but also provide you the coverage to hide your current acne. Right now, luckily, I don't have anything I'm fighting against, just scarring, but I still love this foundation even when my skin is clear. And if you have oily skin, you'll love this foundation. It's very mattifying. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it if you have dry skin, but if you have oily skin like me or normal skin, definitely give this foundation a shot. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to brows because they're bothering me and I just wanna go ahead and fill them in. And the brow product that I love, love, love is this Lock-On Liner and Brow Cream. I have mine in medium brown, and I've mentioned this before. This is one of my holy grail brow products, and it's so affordable from e.l.f. And then to apply it, I either use this angled eyeliner brush or their brow brush from the Beautifully Precise line. But this one is a little bit cheaper and it's exactly the same thing. So if you already have a spoolie, then go with this brush. And I start underneath my brow and just kind of outline the shape that I'm gonna go for. And then go ahead and start outlining the top part of my brow. So then all that's really left to do is fill in the lines. And I use whatever's left on my brush and just fill in the very center of the brow where we want the least amount of product. And if you ever feel like you've gotten a little bit too heavy-handed at all, you can go ahead and use the spoolie to kind of blend it out and soften it. Okay, next up is concealer. I got the shade Fair. This is their HD concealer. It's actually really, really good, but the color selection is not the best. I think there's only 3 colors. And even though this is called Fair, it's perfect for me. So if you're any fairer than me, this concealer might be too dark for you. The shade Light is way too dark for me. So I'm just gonna do some under eye concealing with this and get into these inner corners where I get some blueness, around my nose where I get really red. And then I'm going to use this to kind of even out my skin tone on my eyelids as well. And the best blending tool ever is your fingers. It provides a really nice natural looking coverage, but again, the shade Fair isn't really all that fair. And then my favorite product for setting underneath my eyes is definitely this HD Under Eye Setting Powder. It's so finely milled, it doesn't fall into your creases, it doesn't make you look dry and cakey underneath there, and it lasts a really long time. And of course, I'm gonna be applying that with my favorite under eye setting brush, which is the blush brush. And I'm just gonna use this to set underneath my eyes. I'm actually gonna use a different powder for the rest of my face. So I know a lot of people love the HD loose powders by e.l.f., but I personally don't really like them. I find that they leave a pretty bad white cast. I don't really like the packaging. It feels cheap and clunky to me. So right now my favorite e.l.f. all over setting powder is this finishing powder. So I have mine in the shade Light to Medium, which is a little bit too dark for me, but since the foundation was too light, this will kind of even everything out. So I'm gonna be using this e.l.f. Beautifully Precise powder brush to apply it. I absolutely love this brush. I've raved about it before. And this powder does provide a little bit of additional coverage, which is nice. So I don't know how well it's going to translate on camera, but this is definitely helping to darken up the foundation just a little bit. Okay, moving on to contour. This thing has been through the ringer, so it kind of looks a little crazy. It's broken right now, but you can tell it's very well loved. So I'm gonna be taking a mixture of these two shades, but mostly this contour shade to contour my cheekbones, and I'm gonna be using the e.l.f. Mineral Powder Brush. I just think this is the perfect size for getting right underneath those cheekbones and blending as you go, because it does have a nice fluffy shape. And I like to also take it along my temple and up to my forehead. I'm like halfway using my viewfinder as a mirror and halfway using this mirror, so that's why I keep switching back and forth. Okay, and then next up is a recent find for me, but it's quickly become one of my favorite e.l.f. products, and it is the Total Face Palette. The packaging on this, first of all, is so pretty. You can see all my fingerprints on there, but it looks really, really high end. I just love all of the colors in here, specifically this bronzer shade. It's a nice light matte color, and then this blush shade right here, which is a nice peach color, which is what I typically go for. So I'm gonna do a little bit more bronzing with this e.l.f. Complexion Brush. This is a nice big fluffy brush. This was their original powder brush, which I loved until I found the Beautifully Precise one. That's my favorite, but this is still an awesome brush. So I'm just gonna dip that into this shade right here and just bronze up a tiny bit more. Okay, and then next up, I'm gonna take this kind of peachy, beautiful blush color right over here, and I think this is the small e.l.f. tapered brush. I'll be linking everything in the description box down below, so if I missay anything, all of the right titles will be down there as always. So I'm just gonna apply this right above where the bronzer is, just to give an all over kind of peachy effect. If you weren't a fan of their original blush palette, the one with the packaging that looks like this, because you thought it was too pigmented or too hard to blend, definitely give this Total Face Palette a try, because these blushes are a lot more tame and easier to work with. Okay, next up is highlight, and I've been using a combination of two e.l.f. products to give a serious highlight that's going to look like you're wearing a very high-end highlighter. And the first is this liquid illuminator, which I've just been applying with my finger, and I just dab this onto my cheekbones, and this just provides a really nice base for the highlighter. Or if you're into a more subtle highlight or a cream highlight, you can just use this all on its own. And then for my highlight, you guys are the reason I gave this another chance. This Moonlight Pearls highlighter, I did not like. I put it in a disappointments video because it had zero pigmentation whatsoever, but then you guys told me to scrape off the first few layers, and I did that, and now I totally see what you guys were talking about. So if you have this highlighter, scrape off the top of it and give it another whirl. So I'm just gonna apply that right on top of where we just put down the illuminator. You guys know I don't typically go this heavy with my highlighter, but I wanted to prove to all the people that say you can't get this type of effect with drugstore or e.l.f. products. Here you go. Yes, you can. Okay, next up is the eyes, and I'm obsessed with this eyeshadow primer. I think this is the $1 or $2 one. This is their original eyeshadow primer, and it is absolutely fantastic. So I'm just going to apply this all over my lid and then rub it in with my fingers. And then I'm gonna be using a combination of my two favorite e.l.f. eyeshadow palettes, the Mad for Matte 2 and the Naked Prism eyeshadow palette. These are, in my opinion, by far the two best eyeshadow palettes from e.l.f. and two of the best eyeshadow palettes from the drugstore, period. So I'm gonna start with this Mad for Matte palette, and I'm gonna use this lightest shade right here to set that primer. And I'm gonna use the Beautifully Precise eyeshadow brush to apply it. And I cannot find my e.l.f. crease brush, so I'm gonna cheat and use my Wet n Wild one, but the e.l.f. crease brush is amazing and what I would be using if I had it. And I'm gonna use my favorite shade in the palette, which is this warm orange shade, and use that in my crease. These are so incredibly pigmented and really, really easily blendable, which, like, what more can you ask from an eyeshadow palette? Okay, so now that we've got that transition shade laid down, I'm gonna go in with the lid shade on my favorite $1 e.l.f. eyeshadow brush. I'm gonna be using a mixture of these two bronzy shades right there from this Naked Prism palette, and just packing that onto my lid. Oh my gosh, they're so pretty. And then going back into the Mad for Matte palette, I'm gonna be taking this dark brown shade and using that on my outer corners just a little bit, and then go back in with the eyeshadow brush I used with the transition color and blend everything out. And then I'm going to take a mixture of the dark brown and the orange to go ahead and put underneath my eyes with this Beautifully Precise pencil or smudge brush, I think it's called. And then next up, I'm gonna be taking this Precision liquid liner. This is my favorite liquid liner from e.l.f. Their cream eyeliner is also really good if you prefer to use your own brush, but I'm gonna go with this one, and I'm just going to draw just a super thin line because we are gonna be putting on some lashes. But before we apply some lashes, I'm gonna go ahead and put a thin layer of mascara on. I'm gonna be using this mineral mascara because I really like the wand. The little ball on the end makes it super super easy to get all of your bottom lashes. So just a really thin layer of this mascara, because like I said, we're going to be putting on false lashes. So for lashes, I'm going to be using the Timeless lashes. I made a whole video on all of the different styles they offer. I can link that down below. These are some of my favorites from the new collection, but because I feel like this video is already getting really long, I'm going to go ahead and apply them off camera. Okay, so that's the lashes on. These are the type of lashes I go for. Very natural looking, very wispy. They don't look like you're wearing a strip of lashes. They just make your natural lashes look a little bit more full. And then last but not least is lips. So before I put on my lip color, I'm gonna go ahead and exfoliate my lips with this rose lip exfoliator. And this will just make any lip product go on a lot more smoothly, especially if you're using a bold color, which we are today. And it doesn't hurt that it tastes amazing and smells really good. And I have to include this in the video because it's a best of e.l.f. video, and this is one of my very favorite products from them, is their lip lacquer in the shade Natural. So if you wanted a nude lip with this look from e.l.f., I'd recommend that one. But since it's about to be summer and I'm feeling bright and happy, I'm gonna use a bright and happy color. And I really love the formula of these lipsticks by e.l.f. So I'm gonna be using the shade Orange Dream. It's a super bright, almost neon orange, which I think is perfect for summer and goes really well with the bronzy eye that we did. And just as a finishing touch, I'm gonna take that nice bright kind of yellowy shade from the Prism palette and put that right here in my inner corner. And this is the finished look using all of my very favorite e.l.f. products. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys found this video helpful and enjoyed it. Again, if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.